Hi, and welcome along to AFTV News Daily, the early edition. Good morning to everybody. Good afternoon if you're in other countries. And welcome along to the stream. Thank you very much for supporting this day by day. And I hope that, brightens up the day a bit and kind of gets you started for the day a bit. Myself, you know what? I've started like trying to get back onto my old routine, because one of the things I've noticed in this lockdown is I started to like go to bed really, really late, wake up really, really late. I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to get back onto what I used to do, right? Because I want to prepare for when this thing is done so that I can just be back to normal. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to just bring everything back to normality. So that's all you can do right now. But I hope you guys are well, and welcome along to the stream today. Going to kick off with this story. Now, of course, we know that Liverpool done an embarrassing U-turn on this furlough scheme. Tottenham done an embarrassing U-turn on this furlough scheme. Now Bournemouth have followed them. They were the other club that said that they were going to furlough all of their staff. They have now done an embarrassing U-turn and turned around and said that we are not going to furlough our staff. We made a mistake, which is fair enough. You know, I mean, if you make it, everybody can make a mistake in life. And they said that they are going to pay their staff and not rely on the government furlough scheme. And I think it's the other club, Norwich, that did it. Maybe you might see them following suit as well. But the right decision for these clubs to make. They should never, ever have, went and used that scheme in the first place. And I think they've made themselves look really, really bad by jumping on it. The other club that has done it, that still no word on whether they're going to, back out of it, is Newcastle. Now, knowing their owner, he'll probably try and stick to it. On Newcastle, actually, they're on the verge of selling that. So I saw the news yesterday where they're saying £300 million Mike Ashley's going to sell it for. And it apparently is going to be some Saudi owners, sort of fronted by some people over here in the UK, that are going to take it over. So with Saudi owners, Newcastle could become a formidable threat, because when it comes to money, there's no shortage of that in Saudi Arabia. And if they're going to be pumping money into Newcastle, all of a sudden that is going to become a completely different team. I mean, it's already a big club as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? They've got a massive stadium. They get like nearly 50,000 fans every week. One of the best supported clubs in this country. Got one of the best away supports. If not, sometimes I look at Newcastle actually, and I say they have the best away support, because when you think of the distance they have to travel to literally every ground, and they always still sell out their capacity, they've got a brilliant away support. So somebody pumping millions into that is going to become a major threat to all of the other so-called big teams. I mean, a major threat to Arsenal. Major threat to Arsenal. Again, when we're talking about trying to get into the top four and things like that, Newcastle Football Club, with loads of money behind it, becomes a major, major threat to Arsenal. It really does. And this is why our owner, he needs to shape up. And especially with this whole coronavirus thing, we know that money's going to be really, really short. We've already seen the moves that Arsenal are trying to make with reducing wages at the club and talking about how worried they are going forward, which, to be fair, every club is. But Newcastle, with Saudi owners, they are going to be a major threat. And you think about the clubs now that are going to have a lot of money, probably post this coronavirus thing, once we get through this, but clubs that are going to have a lot of money, obviously the obvious ones, your Man United, your Manchester Cities, Liverpool, Chelsea, we know, who is loads of money with Roman Abramovich there. You've now got Everton in that bracket as well. Lots of money, billionaire owner. You've got Newcastle, if they get these Saudi owners, multi-billionaire owners, right? Leicester have got a few bob as well. Arsenal, that's about, so you're talking about 8 clubs with mega money, right? Pushing for those top 4 places. So, if we don't start getting our act together, and if our owner don't start getting his act together, and I know it's a really difficult time with this coronavirus thing going around, we could in years to come see clubs like Newcastle overtake us if those owners start spending. And as I said, guys from Saudi Arabia have money and they don't mess around with their money either. So we really got to get our act together. Talking of signings and that, yesterday I spoke about this one. We had Kelechi on the show, and it was Thomas Partey we were talking quite a lot about on the show. Thomas Partey, of course, linked with Arsenal yesterday. There's been talks that Arsenal have put a deal worth £43 million on the table and said to Atletico, listen, here's the money. We're willing to take Partey if you're willing to sell him. The money's down there. And that report was coming out of Spain. Now, how true that report is or not, who knows? As I said, we know that at the moment, money is going to be short at Arsenal. So will they really have the money to pull this deal off? It could be that they're looking at selling, and Aubameyang's the obvious one, but there could be a couple of other players that maybe they might sell to finance that. But would Arsenal have the money to pull this off? Reports out of Spain saying they might be able to do it and that they put the money down. But whether it's true or not, I mean, we'll find out over the coming months or so. But the Thomas Partey one is still out there today. And there's lots of talk about the possibility of him. And there's no doubt about it. That would be a great signing for Arsenal. But I think if we did sign him, that would surely mean that, say, well, at the very least, maybe a Torreira would be moving on, and you'd also have to look at somebody like an Aubameyang to finance that sort of deal. Because remember, we haven't paid the Nicolas Pepe money yet. Remember that. We still got to pay for that. But whether it happens or not, we'll have to wait and see. The other one that's been talked about a lot is about Philippe Coutinho. Now, I like Coutinho, and I've said for quite a while that I think somebody like Philippe Coutinho would suit Arsenal because he's a goal-scoring midfielder, scores a lot of goals from the edge of the box. He's a dangerous player. Basically, he gets the ball on the edge of the box. He's a very, very dangerous player, and he's a top player. However, he's a very expensive player. Now, Barcelona, remember, in 2018, I think it was in January of 2018, they paid £142 million for him. And obviously they're seriously regretting that because he has just not kicked on. He was on loan at Bayern Munich. It hasn't really worked out for him there either. 27 now, Coutinho. His agent is Kia Jurapchan, who we know is reportedly an Arsenal fan and very close to some of the hierarchy now at Arsenal. And the reports out there are that he's been offered to Arsenal in two ways. Arsenal can either buy him outright for £75 million. And again, that looks highly unlikely to me, especially when, as I said, you consider the lack of money that is going to be around. But they could buy him outright for £75 million, or they can take him on loan. Now, if they take him on loan, they're going to have to meet half of his wages. Half of his wages, would be £145,000 a week. Now, you think a big club like Arsenal could definitely afford that. There's other players on around about the same money. I think Aubameyang would be on that sort of money. We all know Ozil's on double, right? But it would be a very expensive deal even on loan. But I think he's a type of player that would bring goals. He obviously knows the Premier League, was one of Liverpool's best players when he was there. So could that deal happen? And again, his agent is very close to Arsenal. So if Arsenal had the will to make it happen, there's no doubt it could be done. But do Arsenal have the will to get a deal like that done? That is the question that I think every fan would like to know. I mean, I don't know about you guys. Do you rate Coutinho? Would he be a good player for Arsenal? Let me know. But he's been linked very, very heavily today. Hencho says, Robbie, huge fan Would rather have Coutinho or a centre-back like Upamecano. Your opinion, we don't need Coutinho. We don't need Coutinho now, rather a centre-back. Well, I think we do need a player like Coutinho. I do think we need a player that's going to be in midfield and scores goals, because our midfield, look at it last season, or this, calling it last season, but the season that's still here at the moment. How many goals do we scored from midfield? You know, barely any. You know, so I definitely think it would be good. You know, Cheshenelo says, why Partey though? Well, I think Partey again will be a good signing. I think that's just this type of signing that Arsenal are missing. We all talk about the defence needs improving, but also that shield in front of the defence that makes their job easier, that means that they're not always being counter-attacked all the time by teams, is very, very important in having a great defence. And that has not performed well, or not well enough, over a period of time. So I'd look on it and I'd say, you know, Thomas Partey would be a brilliant signing. Riley says, big up Don Robbie, sending you love from New Zealand. Brilliant. Thanks, mate. It's good to know that New Zealand is watching. This one off of Facebook is Andreas. He says, we must sign Pablo Mari because with William Saliba, it could fix our defensive problems. What's going to happen to Mari? Remember, we were only just taking him on loan. We'll still have him on loan when the season resumes, or if it resumes. So that would still be, he'd still be there on loan, and maybe we'd want to get a better look at him before we decide on whether we sign him or not. But definitely he'd be, you know, a lot cheaper option than some of the other centre backs out there if he was to work. Apparently Arteta does like him. Believe in Yourself says Coutinho preferred Chelsea than coming to Arsenal. Well, perhaps, maybe. I mean, we don't know. We really don't know. The thing is about it is that Coutinho, as I said, his agent is very close to Arsenal, right? So it could be done if Arsenal were prepared to pay those high wages. Aniket says Coutinho is finished. Don't sign him. He would turn into the new Ozil on high wages. Okay, take that point. You know, there's another one here. So he's going to Chelsea. You know, I mean, he has been heavily linked with Chelsea, but as I said, he's been offered to Arsenal as well. Could Arsenal get it done? That's the thing about it. That's it. It's frustrating. Nerman says Arsenal is just a mid-table club. Nobody wants to come to Arsenal. Well, I don't think nobody wants to come to Arsenal. It's whether we have the ambition to get these players done. And as I said at the top of the show, if you've got clubs like Newcastle now starting to get big money, that's another big threat to Arsenal. I'm telling you, we've got to get our act together. The owner has to start putting his hand in his pocket, especially now. This one here says Coutinho could be the Ozil replacement that we need. And again, I think the one thing about Coutinho is that he scores goals from midfield. And we are so lacking that. It's been a major problem, you know. So, you know, here's support for it. It's Dagmoe says definitely just take him on loan. So he's up for it. He's up for taking him on loan. And a loan deal, you know, we can take a look at him, and if it didn't work out, you just end the loan deal, but it'd be a very expensive loan deal. That's the thing about it. Eminette says, hi Robbie, we need Coutinho to replace Ozil in the middle of the pitch as a number 10. And again, that's what I think as well. I think because when I was chatting with Kelechi about it last night, Kelechi was talking about, well, he plays out wide and that will knock it. I said to no, Kelechi, if you remember rightly, when he was playing for Liverpool, he was playing more centrally, and that was where you got the best out of him. Maybe the fact that he's gone to Barcelona. I mean, Barcelona didn't need Coutinho. It's just another one of those typical signings that Barcelona make where they sign a player because they can and because they're Barcelona and, you know, they just want to get the biggest players. But you know, they didn't really need him, and now, you know, they bought him in, and they found out that, you know, he doesn't fit into the club. But I think if you played him in that number 10 position where Ozil plays, I do think he'd fit in. I really do. Emmanuel says Maddison or Grealish or Coutinho. Ooh. Well, for me personally, out of those three, Coutinho, I'd go. I like Grealish as well. I mean, I like Maddison and Grealish. Out of the other two, I'd say Grealish. I mean, what I do like about Grealish is that I like the way he runs with the ball, but I just think that Coutinho would score a lot of goals in the Premier League. I could see us getting like 10 goals out of him. 10-goal contribution from midfield is what we need. Who has done that this season? You know, and we're lacking that. We're too reliant on the goals of Aubameyang. We need goals from all over the pitch. Rosinho says, hi, Robbie, I want Coutinho and Partey at Arsenal. Well, that would be nice. Those two would be two nice signings. This one here says, Don Robbie, do you think we should sign Ceballos permanently? Again, interesting. Ceballos was just starting to get into the team and was just starting to do all right. I like Ceballos. Is he a goal scorer? Again, that's what I'm saying. We've got a lot of similar type midfield players, but we want one that's also going to contribute with the goals. I'm not sure if Ceballos scores enough goals, but I wouldn't be against signing him on a permanent deal. You know what I mean? I do like him as a player, and I do think he'll get better, and he's still very young. Jonathan says, love from Las Vegas. It's a ghost town here. Big up to you. Met you in LA last summer at Arsenal versus Bayern. I mean, I can't imagine what Las Vegas is, a ghost town. You know, that's a weird thing about at the moment. Vegas, normally such a place that's just brimming with people, so busy, such a crazy place. And for that to be like a ghost town, this is the time that we're in at the moment. But we will get back to normal. SB says, I say we get Alan Sant-Maximin. He creates and scores goals. I do like Maximin. He is an exciting player. Won't be leaving Newcastle now that all this money's coming in. You know what I mean? And to be honest, we don't really need Sant-Maximin. We do have a lot of wingers. Although I do like him, he's a very exciting player, but not really what we need right now. Santan says, hey, Robbie, what about a system with both, I think he means James Rodriguez and Coutinho. James Rodriguez, no, thank you. No, thank you. Coutinho, I'll take, but James Rodriguez, done. Nick says, don't need Coutinho, just play 4-3-3. Okay. Augustine says, we should just bring back Ramsey. That was a big mistake, selling Aaron Ramsey, as I said many a time. I think we see it all the time, but massive mistake. Fran says, sign Thomas Partey's class, pay the 50 mil if needed. Partey would be a good signing. As I said, that guy who sits in front of the defense, works hard, but also has the skill and the drive to get the ball forward quickly up into the players that can hurt teams. I think Thomas Partey would be that sort of guy, and would be a great signing at Arsenal. Whether it gets done or not, we'll have to wait and see, but it would be a great signing. And as I said, the rumours are that the money's on the table. Let's see if that money's on the table. I don't know. With all what we're hearing about Arsenal, about pay cuts and this and that, are they really going to have 50 million on the table? I suppose, as I said, if they sell. Remember Arsenal, they reported recently that they made a loss of, what, £26 million by not qualifying for the Champions League last season. So have they got that money? And as I said, you know, they're trying to tie in players keeping their full amount of wages to Champions League qualification and things like that. I'm not convinced. Arsenal Vlog said, would you sign Maddison? I like Maddison. Coutinho, I prefer. Grealish, I prefer in front of him, if I'm being honest. But I do like him. He's a good player. Billy says, would you take Jimenez? Yes, I would. I really like Jimenez as well. I think he's built for the Premier League. He's a really, really good player. How about we get Well, sorry, I don't know that name, and I'm not sure if that's another one of these people trying to catch me out, like that Indian one that I did the other day, where I ended up saying a really bad word in Indian. Right, I'm not sure if that's another one of them. Any Indian people out there, fill me in if that, because I've not heard of that player before. Right, so I'm not going to read it. I bet you anybody put that into Google Translate someone and let me know how that comes out. I'm sure that's dodgy. Callum says, what about Ryan Fraser? Ryan Fraser will be available on a free transfer come the end of the season, but I just don't think we need a wide player right now. You know, I'm not sure. You know, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure we, you know, we've got enough wide players. We've got Pepe, we've got Martinelli can play out wide, Saka, Reece Nelson. I'm not sure we need Ryan Fraser now. You know, so even though he's available on the free, it's not what we need. Bilk says, big up, Robbie. You should get Sasha Wright to date Kroenke to get him out of the club. Get him out of Arsenal. Sasha Wright, of course, is the lady who claims that she had an affair with Unai Emery. Unai Emery ended up calling her the White Witch because, according to Unai Emery, as soon as she split up with him, everything went down for him. The performance of Arsenal, everything just dipped after they stopped going out with each other. Yeah, so yeah, we send her, but I think Kroenke is married. But we could send her Kroenke's way and see if that could get him out. Rob says, Robbie, have you heard ABBA in a straight swap with Origi? ABBA to be back up to our front three. Maybe he must be a Liverpool fan. He would play his part, of course, worked under Klopp beforehand. He is a Liverpool fan. YNWA to all football fans. Can't wait till he's back. I haven't heard that. And that would be listen, that would be the sort of swap deal that would send Arsenal fans into meltdown. Origi's a decent player, by the way. There's nothing wrong with Origi, but he's not nowhere near in the same category as an Aubameyang. Nowhere near. Let's get a few more here. This one here is HK Football. Ralph says, would you keep Holding? Yeah, at the moment I would. I would definitely keep Holding. Listen, he's had a lot of injuries, but listen, we got to give him a chance to get through those injuries and see what he can do. He was looking so good before he got injured. That's the real shame about it. He was shaping up to be a top centre back, and then obviously an injury. We got to see how he comes out of this injury. Obviously, you can see at the moment he still hasn't fully recovered. This one says, Robbie, what about Yuri Tielemans? Tielemans, he's just recently signed a full deal for Leicester, wasn't it? Last season, he was on loan originally. Not sure if he's really been that great this season for Leicester. They've been having a great season, but I'm not too sure. You know, I'm not too sure that he's been that great. I mean, he is a good player, but a bit inconsistent, and I don't think that's what we need right now. A. Levangi says, Don Robbie, Newcastle under new ownership, these Arabs are going to pump millions. Should Arsenal be concerned? Well, I said it at the start of the show. We should be very concerned. And it's not just Newcastle. You know, you've got Everton as well with a billionaire owner. By the way, those guys used to be at Arsenal, wanting to take over Arsenal. We wouldn't give them the light of day, even to come in as half owners. We wouldn't give them the light of day. They've now gone to Newcastle. They bought in Ancelotti, and they're starting to pump money into the club, right? So you can see they're showing a lot of ambition, building a new stadium. These Arab guys come in at Newcastle. You know what they're coming with. The Arab guys, when they come in, they got money. Number one, they got a lot of money, and they will be willing to spend that money. They're not looking to take over Newcastle for it just to sit there and be some little joke thing. They're looking to come in. Their ambition will be to win the league if they come in at Newcastle, and they'll have all the infrastructure to do it because they'll have a great club, right? Been to Newcastle many times over the years. massive support. Even when they're doing rubbish, the fans turn out at that club. So you can imagine if somebody comes in there, pumps the money in, revitalizes the place, they will be a serious threat. Not just a threat, a serious threat to everybody. So we need to get our act together. We really, really do need to get our act together, because if not, we can end up getting overtaken by more teams. We're already getting overtaken by a load of teams as it is, but we could end up getting overtaken by more clubs if we don't get our act together and get our act together fast. And are we going to do that under these owners? We've got a track record of these owners. They've been in now for over 10 years. In that time, what have they done? Have we won the title? No. Have we really got close to winning the title? I think on one occasion, you know, and when called upon to bring in players that could have got us over the line, whether you want to blame it on Arsene Wenger or blame it on the owners, they didn't do that. And we ended up not winning the title. We've not won the Europa League. We've not won the Champions League. All we've won under them is some FA Cups. They have not delivered since we've come into this new stadium. So, you know, George Chapman there messaging off of Facebook. He said, Don Robbie, what about William Carvalho? No one's mentioned him. William Carvalho. I remember a couple of seasons ago, I was doing Transfer Daily every day. William Carvalho, and you know, and he had a very good Euros. He looked brilliant in the Euros, but nobody's really. I can't remember what club he's at now. Where is he now? I can't remember what club he's at. But surprisingly, nobody's really got in for him. Rahul says, what about Willian? Of course, Willian available on a free transfer at the end of the season. Again, as I said, winger. I just, as I said, a winger. We got enough wingers. So that's not where we need the players. We need to buy the players, you know, in the areas that where it's required, right? That's what we need to do. So yeah, we need to get the players where they're required. It's Kevin Campbell there. He says, oh, is it Real Betis he's at? He is a good player. He is a good player, Willian. I mean, Kev, I don't know what you think, you know, if he'd be a good signing for Arsenal. But I remember watching him in the Euros. And as I said, he was very, very impressive then. Really, really impressive in the Euros. And for years, we were looking at bringing him in. But yeah, maybe that boat sailed. Scott says, Robbie, would you sell Bellerin and buy Max Aarons in his place? Well, on the Bellerin thing, I've said this quite a few times. For me, we've got to give him a chance to see what he can do when he's fully fit. But Max Aarons would be a good signing. Would definitely be a good signing. Henko says, Robbie, on the Torreira subject, people are too harsh. It is harsh on Torreira because he's not really had. I don't think he's not really had enough of a full chance. I don't know what it is. Why he's 1 minute he's in the team, then he's out. He's in, he's out. He's in, he's out. I don't know. Is it something in training? Is it something that the managers look on him and think, oh, you just can't do it week in, week out? I really don't know, but he's just not seemed to be getting the consistent. I mean, I look on Torreira and I look at him and I think he should be playing every single week. Is it that he's still a bit homesick? I mean, those were the rumors going around for a while that he's a home, you know, he would love to sort of go back and play in Italy. But I really don't know. But all I know is that, you know, on his days of top player. But if he did want to move on, I suppose you can't stand in his way, then you've got to find a replacement. Partey would be a brilliant replacement. Charbel says, Don Robbie, what about Declan Rice? I do like Declan Rice. I must admit, I think he's, you know, I hear a lot of times people saying that he's overrated. I don't think he is. I think he's a very good player. I really do. He's still a bit raw. I still think he's got a little way to go to, you know, becoming one of those really top players. But he's very young, and I think he does have the potential to become a really top player. So yeah, I do like him. This one, Banu says, Decore And me and Kelechi on the show last night. If you didn't get a chance to watch that show, actually, make sure you check it out. It's really funny with Kelechi on last night. Yeah, we were both saying that Doucouré would be a good signing. I think I would definitely be happy to see Doucouré coming into that Arsenal midfield, because he's big, strong, skillful, scores goals as well, and very mobile. Very, very mobile as well. And I think that's what we lack. Okay, we're going to do a couple more here before we finish the show. Alex says, do you think we ruined Mesut Ozil? No, we haven't ruined him. I mean, if anything, he's dropped off. You know what I mean? He's had full reign to do what he can do at Arsenal. And over the past couple of seasons, we have to say he hasn't delivered. Farrell says, what do we need to do so that Kroenke can hand over our beloved team, Robbie? I don't know. I think it's a very difficult situation with him, because he owns the club 100% now. He's not around in the UK to anytime take any of the flack, so he's always apart from it. And he never says anything. He's just, as we know, silent stand, and he just literally, obviously, stands on the sidelines away from all of the flack and is just doing his thing. And I don't know. I think the only way he would sell up, it would have to be a ridiculous offer. Maybe if somebody like Dangote, me and Kelechi were talking about it last night. Maybe if somebody like that did come in and try and make that happen, maybe he might be open to it for ridiculous money. But at the moment, it doesn't look like this guy's going anywhere. And if he's not going nowhere, he then needs to start doing more things. Alan says, more established players at Arsenal, please. And definitely, it's got to be about bringing in quality to the club. That's what Arsenal needs right now. They need, it's not just about the multi-millions and stuff like that. It's about bringing in quality to the club. And is Stan Kroenke going to do that? Well, we've got another summer to find out. I'm just going to do a couple more because there's so many coming in. As usual, it's still mad. I like this one. This one is from Jonathan. He says, sell the club to Jeff Bezos. He will never run out of money. Jeff Bezos, of course, who owns Amazon. You know what I mean? I'll be up for that. We need somebody who's got unlimited funds, but not just unlimited funds, because Stan Kroenke's got unlimited funds. Someone who's willing to spend it. And Owen says, Calvin Phillips, I like him. And I would definitely be a player worth looking at if Leeds weren't able to get up into the Premier League because of the league being voided or whatever. Maybe you could tempt him away, but I like him. He's a good player. Leeds, of course, they're in a lot of financial trouble as well. They really do need to come up this season. So might be there that could be picked off. I know Leeds fans wouldn't want to hear that, but I do like him. Listen, thanks for watching the show today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Listen, just for as I go here, I've got to tell you guys about a big initiative that we're doing alongside United Stand. We're going to do a full announcement of it later on. But this weekend, we're doing a special 24-hour broadcast. It's going to start here on AFTV, then it will switch onto United Stand, then back onto AFTV, then back onto United Stand, and we're going to be doing that for 24 hours in 3-hour shifts. We're raising money for the NHS, the brilliant NHS that have been doing such a wonderful job during this coronavirus crisis. We're going to have loads of guests on here. We're going to be getting some of you guys on here as well. We're going to be doing loads of different features. And as I said, it's going to be across both channels. We're going to feature all football clubs. Every football club is coming together for this initiative, and it's taking place this Saturday. So keep your eyes peeled for all of the information on that. But we're going to be here for 24 hours non-stop, and in that time we'll be raising as much money as we can for the NHS. Whilst we talk about football, we banter with each other. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. As I said, there's clubs from every football club getting involved, not just Premier League, any club. We're all involved in this. We're all in this together to try and raise money for the NHS. They've been doing such a brilliant job in dealing with this coronavirus, right there on the front line. And this is our way of trying to do something where we can give back to that. So make sure you get involved in that. Look out for all the information coming out about it. Lots of it's going to be coming out later on today. Thanks for watching the show. We will be back tonight. The quiz coming up around about midday. I'd love to see how you guys are getting on with that one. But we'll be back later.